So what I would recommend is anybody who is having depression symptoms, it's it's not something that you should have to deal with on your own. So seek help, whether that's talking to other people in your friends and family group or seeking professional help. These are great things to do. They're great for you. They're great for the people you care about because then you're more available. I think the modern world just makes us feel as though we should not feel depression, or even worse, that it kind of creates this need for something more because that way it can be filled by some food or some purchased online or some TV show. And that constant wanting and craving and feeling that emptiness is like, it's such a problem. So I think having the conversation about it and being aware of the fact that this is, for many people, becoming the default state is the first step. And then I would say, as far as kind of natural remedies for depression, first, if you're having significant depression symptoms, don't mess around with something like essential oils. Go seek help. I'm not saying that those things don't help, but I think that the best step is to get somebody who is on your team early on because they can help guide the therapy. So what are the things that you can be doing in addition to this, or if it's a more mild situation, to help remedy these symptoms? I think stress, food, sleep, and nature are really the main things that I would go with first. And you don't have to do them all at once, but all of these seem to have beneficial effects on our brains and our mood. So getting a good night's sleep can be so powerful in helping to reset emotional reactivity, specifically the second half of the night, because that's where you get your REM sleep and that calms down emotional reactivity. So if you are somebody who is feeling a lot of anger, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depressive symptoms, don't cut your sleep short in the morning, because it tends to be the second half of the night that you really need for the emotional support. So if you're going to cut your night short, try to go to bed a little bit later and give yourself that early morning time in bed and sleeping. The next thing would be for stress. We already talked about this a little bit, but as much as you can do to kind of calm down the stress system through all of these different interventions, the better. A little bit more, I would say, research in anxiety than depression, but it is still pretty substantially linked to depression. And then nature we talked about. And then finally, food. If you are looking at the research in depression and food, I have an article coming out on my dad's website pretty soon that does a review of where we're at as far as the most recent meta-analyses. And then there are 3 randomized controlled trials, including the SMILES trial, that look at food, or specifically dietary interventions for depression. The bulk of the evidence is really in the Mediterranean pattern diet, as well as a generally anti-inflammatory diet. So that's looking at things like consuming omega-3 fats, which can be found in fish primarily, specifically DHA and EPA, but you can also get some of this from vegetables. And then also looking at more healthy fats, monounsaturated fats like olive oil and fats through nuts, cutting back a bit on red meat consumption, and then just eating a lot of a rainbow variety of vegetables. And I know that's really basic. You guys can look up Mediterranean pattern diet if that's of interest to you to get more specific on that. But I think that as it relates to dietary interventions that are going to be most applicable to the general public for depressive symptoms, you really want to look at the Mediterranean pattern diet as having the majority of the evidence base right now.